Recording. Welcome everybody to the Wednesday afternoon team call. This is the second call of the series of calls with elite leaders who will be guest speakers for us. I'm going to remind you guys, we're not really doing any announcements. All the announcements that you need to hear are in your coach breaking news and on the national wake up call. So make sure that you are tuning in there and staying up to date with what's going on up in there. With that being said, I want to jump right into this call. And today we have our guest speaker who is Natasha. And Natasha has been coaching for 5 years now. She's a former school counselor. She's led a 2018 Premier Team, 2019 Elite Team, 2020 Premier Team, and she leads a 5-star diamond team. She's a 1-star diamond also in her second business center and a 1-star diamond in her husband's business center. And she has also been a Success Club All-Star Legend for 62 consecutive months. With that being said, her topic is going to be leadership is a mindset, and I'm going to pass it over to you, Natasha.
Awesome. Thank you so much, first of all, Scotty. You probably hear this a lot, but when I was a new coach, I listened to your story of how you worked in like crazy hours of the day and all day long. And it was so inspirational to me because at that point in time, I was working 2 jobs. I had a toddler. So I was like very relatable and I was so burnt out of my career. And I'm going to get into this. I'm going to jump ahead of myself, but like you have been such an inspiration to me. You don't even know it. And the year that we hit Premier, you were actually sitting right in front of me at Summit. It was the last live in-person summit that we had. And I was like, I think I took a picture of the back of your head and sent it to some of my coach friends. I was like, oh my God, Scotty Hobbs is right in front of me. This is insane. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on your call. This is incredible. So thank you for being an inspiration to myself and other coaches in this network. So you guys have an amazing coach in Scotty. So anyway, okay, I'll get back on track now. But again, my name's Natasha. I've been coaching 5 years. You heard all the accolades there, but I am not the coach that's going to come at you with like invite 500 people and I'm not the person with tons of structure and systems and things like that. That's just not me. I told Scotty, I was like, I don't have slides prepared. That's not my style. I was a school counselor for 10 years. And so I'm an Enneagram 2. I'm a nurturer. I'm a listener. I am an extrovert, but I have that nice balance of like, I like to be, with myself and in close relationships with people. And so whenever I started this business, the business activity tracker, I don't know what it was called back then. I feel like that has changed since when I started. I think it was the BAT back then was like, oh, okay, great. Here are things I need to do. This is what I need to do every single day. I can do that. And so I don't think that we need to emphasize in this business, like, here's a tracker, you have to do your tracker every day. I feel like we're grown-ups. Everyone who joins is at least 18 years old and that we can totally do a tracker. We can do the tasks on it every single day. I think the hardest part in this business is our mindsets and growing our mindsets and overcoming fears and beliefs. And I'm very big on some subconscious, stories that are written and stick to us and hold us back. And so that's what I want to talk about as I share my story today. So fear has been a common theme in my coaching journey. And I'm a squirrel brain, so I can't look at the comments. So like if anyone has questions, ask them, I'll come back to them at the end. I'm just really bad about that. So, but fear has been something that, looking at myself, I never thought fear was something that would affect me or my business or anything like that. Because like I said, I'm pretty extroverted, have a lot of energy. I'm a pretty positive person. But this business, like I said, it can really test your mindset. And the more I started to explore myself and explore fear and understand it and how it can come out in our businesses and affect our businesses, the more I think like we need to talk about this even more because, in this business, we can see all the success stories of people that go 0 to 100 to the top and they're celebrated, and that's fantastic. But the majority of people aren't that. And I think we need to say that more, and we need to, respect that and respect the process that there is in this business. So anyway, let's get started with my journey. So I'm going to be talking about fear, and I'm going to kind of go in and out of it as I share my journey with you guys. So I've been coaching for a little over 5 years now. I'm the person that was never invited. I'm a little bitter. I was never invited to a challenge group. Actually, I was never invited to coaching. I'm one of the rare unicorns, I like to call myself in that regard. I was struggling postpartum for like 2 years after having my daughter. I have an 8-year-old daughter who is actually homesick today. So if she appears, that's why. But I was struggling. New mom. I just felt I had no confidence. I felt like I had lost my identity. All I did was work and be a mom. And I felt I had no energy. I had no confidence. I was struggling, all the things we often hear with that like postpartum struggle journey. And I had been an athlete growing up my whole life. I was a competitive gymnast. I played basketball for years in high school and college. And, I was always fit, but I wasn't actually into fitness, if that makes sense. But I knew I needed to do something. I needed to shift. And so my thing was I wanted to go back to the gym. But I also really struggled postpartum with anxiety and guilt about leaving my daughter all day long. And so the last thing I wanted to do was go to a gym and put her in the daycare, which I did try. It lasted 2 days and then that was over. And I didn't know what to do. Meanwhile, my husband's in our house for like 2 years at this point doing P90X and P90X3 over and over. And I am like, that doesn't work. And I see him literally getting results, but I'm like resistant to it because I think in-home workouts don't work for whatever reason. Well, my cholesterol started to rise. I had a, what are they called? Like a thing at my work where we could go and we could get our cholesterol checked and, blood pressure and all that stuff. And my cholesterol levels came back high. And, I've always been I've never been a weight loss success story. That's not me. I was a very unhealthy little person though. I was drinking multiple Mountain Dews a day. I lived on my whole pregnancy, which I hate saying this now that I'm a health and fitness coach, I literally drank a large Coke from McDonald's every single day, which is like awful to me now, but that was who I was. I was little, but I was unhealthy. Cholesterol started to rise. It's just I had enough of myself is pretty much what happened, that I gave into P90X3 and Tony Horton, and really the rest is history. Like I think we hear that a lot with him. But so I started this program. I lost a couple of pounds, which wasn't what my goal was, but I started to feel amazing. And I started to eat healthy and explore clean eating. And I cut out the soda. That was the first thing that went. And like I stumbled upon a friend from graduate school who was actually hosting accountability groups. And I didn't know what she was doing, but I saw these other women who were also on similar journeys as me. And so I jumped in and I joined. And I actually told her, I'm that person. I was like, I'm not buying that Shakeology. I'm not drinking a protein shake. I'm not doing that. I'm not buying more programs. I have P90X3. I'm going to do this forever. And she was like, okay, whatever. And let me jump in. And I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, the counselor in me was like, this is so cool. I was facilitating groups for little kids. I was an elementary school counselor all the time. But like, I thought it was really cool that she was like facilitating this group for adult women to get healthy. I was like, I could totally do something like this. But the thing is that she never invited me. She never talked to me about the coaching opportunity ever once. And so I was friended by a girl on Facebook, and she started posting about the business opportunity with coaching. So that by that point, I knew there was a business opportunity. I was skeptical because I had been a part of other multi-level marketing companies before, to be honest, and lost a ton of money out of college. I made a really poor investment. And then I signed up to be a doTERRA wellness advocate. And I love doTERRA. I love essential oils. I'm huge into them, but I just never made a dollar. And so I really was like, okay, there's this business. I'm kind of skeptical about it with coaching, but this girl's telling me how much she loves it and that she's making the side income. And right now I'm working 2 jobs and I need some extra cash. And my husband was just getting his real estate career started. And, we were paycheck to paycheck. And I was like, well, maybe I could make some money, but more more of my focus was that I was going to stay accountable. For once in my life, I was going to stay on my health and fitness journey and not join a gym and fall off 2 weeks later and then pay the $75 cancellation fee and like do that cycle repeatedly. I was going to stay. And so I joined in, gosh, what year was that? November 2015 sounds about right, or 16, one of them. And I joined as a coach, hit Emerald right out the bat, hit Success Club my first month. Second month, I didn't hit Success Club because I wasn't doing the vitals. And then third month, though, I had opened this big community and I had some women doing the programs, and I, it was January. It was like, New Year's resolution season, and everyone had been watching me for 3 months. And I had this great SC 16, like all these people joined me, and I made like $700. Income disclaimer, we're going to throw that out there. You have to work hard for your income in this business. Can't make any promises there. But I was like, $700 was a huge amount of money to me at that moment in time. And I was also watching my coach and other coaches in the upline, leaving their jobs and coming home to their kids. And I was like, you know what? Like maybe I actually could make money in this business. Like maybe I actually could. I was loving it. Maybe I could actually build a business and love what I do for my job and leave my full-time job and become a coach. Which was something I was so burnt out in as a school counselor. I had switched to multiple schools. I'd been in an inner city for 5 years. I went to a rural school, and then I went to a cyber school, and searching for that passion to be reignited, and it just didn't happen. And so when I started to find this passion in coaching and actually seeing income coming in, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And so around month 3, I put my head down and I started to work. And so for me, when we step back and talk about fear, often the fear that we have as new coaches is fear of judgment, because we're changing, we're doing something new. We're worried about what other people will think. We're worried about like, if we're still going to have relationships stay the same if we change. All of those things kind of played a part for me in those first 3 months. But I'm not really somebody who worries too much about what everyone else has to say. And I knew that it was something I wanted for myself and my family. And I saw how much positivity it could bring. So I decided to go after it and let that fear of judgment kind of just dissipate and go away. And so I like to speak about fear of judgment, just because I like to just bring it up, because I know new coaches can really struggle with that. Worrying about what other people think, worrying about, how we're going to be perceived for doing something that's untraditional. And I encourage you, my thing with fear, and you're going to hear me say this a million times, is like, fear is one of those things that you just have to go after yourself and really explore yourself and figure out where it comes from. And so, fear of judgment is all about worrying about other people. And I love, there's so many quotes out there, like, other people's opinions don't pay my bills was the quote that I lived by when I first started coaching, because that's the quote my coach gave me when I said, oh, I have a friend who said this. She said, her opinions don't pay your bills, who cares? My upline's Ashley Lachlan, so she's very much like a go-getter. She's a very much big go-getter in that way. And so that was the quote that I always stick them to my computer. When I worked in a cyber school, I had like the sticky notes across my computer, quotes across my computer. My coworkers, I'm sure, thought I was insane, but I needed those reminders constantly when I first started. So, okay, that's like my getting started story. Basically, what happened from there is 4 months later, I hit diamond. And then I stayed a diamond coach for a year and a half. And that, it's so funny looking back. I was making progress. I was hitting Success Club every month. I don't know, like I didn't know what was holding me back from rank advancing, from finding people who wanted to build the business with me versus me feeling like I was dragging people into the business. And I didn't want to drag people. I was so tired of dragging people. And I had at one point, this is like a year in, I had, 6 or 7 new Emerald coaches on my team, and I was so excited, and they all quit. Every single one of my Emeralds quit in the same month. And I had to completely rebuild my business. And at that point in time, I remember thinking like, what in the hell is going on? Like, I'm showing up every day. Where are the people that want to do this with me? What's wrong with me? Like, why am I not attracting people to my team that want this as much as I do? Like, why can't I get other people to see the vision? Right. And so I'm gonna not even gonna give years, guys, because I get like so confused about what year it was at that point in time. But about a year and a half in, I started to do a lot of vision work. I actually signed up for Josh Coates' course, and I'm not here to like, like say, oh, go do that. But I did because I felt stuck. And I got super, super clear on my vision. And I came up with my goal, which was to resign from my school counseling job at the time I put my daughter on the school bus for kindergarten. And so it became my hashtag school bus dream. And that's what I worked for every single day. So I got super clear on that, like putting her on the school bus, what that looked like. And guys, the funny part about that now is I drive her to school every day. She's never ridden the school bus, but regardless, I'm available for her, and I'm available to be the mom in the classroom and all the things that I wanted to be so bad. But I got really clear on my vision, which I know you guys hear all the time, like get clear on your vision. That's going to help you so much. And it did. But the other thing that I really started to explore was fear. And so I heard somebody talking about fear. I read about fear. I listened to a book or something. And all of a sudden, I realized that I had been struggling in my business for this year and a half. And I wasn't advancing. I wasn't finding people to join me because I was so afraid of failing. And how it came out was this. This is so weird. Like I was listening. I don't even know, honestly, what I was listening to that day. But all of a sudden, I had this story come up in my mind from my high school days. So we're going back. And in high school, I ran track for a few years. And I was a 400 runner, so that's like the one loop around the track. And I jumped and I sprinted. I did other things, but 400 was like my event. I was really good at it. I was fast. It was a fast little thing, and I loved it. And my junior year, a freshman joined, and her legs came up to like my shoulder. Her legs came up to like here. She was tall. And what happened? She beat me around the track. Right, first practice out, beat me around the track, and I was like, what just happened? Like, I'm the one that wins the 400. I'm the fast one. Well, not anymore. She beat me. She killed it. She was fast and her legs were like this long. And instead of me being like, wow, this is awesome, I have this amazing teammate who's crushing it. Like, we're going to kill the 4x100 relay. Like, instead of me thinking like that, I have somebody to chase after. My times are going to go down. I went to my coach that day and I said, I don't want to run the 400 anymore. Because in my mind, and I don't know if this is because I was a competitive gymnast for many years before that or not, second place was unacceptable. And that was me failing. And I was unwilling to do that. So I stopped. And I don't know how this story came up in my head, like after hearing about fear of failure, but I was like, oh my gosh, I am still doing that to this day. I will take a job, I will take an extra position at work, even I will work really hard, but I'm never going to do something unless I know that I will absolutely succeed at it and I will be the best at doing it. I'm not going to do something that I could potentially fail at because failure is bad, right? And so I like to go back, and I'm going to take a step back from my own story and just talk about this. So fear of failure is an interesting thing. And failure is funny because, think about a baby, right? When a baby, we hear this analogy, like when a baby starts to grow up, they crawl, they sit, they crawl, and then they start to walk. And the walking, oh, we have a baby on the screen even. I'm like, oh my gosh. Sorry, squirrel brain. But we put the baby on their feet, and what happens? They fall on their butt. And we're like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. And then we put the baby back on their feet, and then they take a step, and then they fall. And we don't go, baby, you suck. Like, stop it. You're failing. We encourage them. We say, do it again. Like, you're going to get it. Keep walking, keep trying. And we're like crazy people and cheering them on. And failure is good, right? Failure teaches us something. Failure is what we're striving for because we're learning. Failure is a learning process when we're kids. But it shifts somewhere. And I don't know where that is in our lives, that failure becomes a bad thing. Maybe it's when we go to school and we start to have F's assigned as grades instead of good try, we get a fail, like there's somewhere in our lives where it shifts and failure is looked at as bad. And so for me, that definitely happens. And I definitely internalized failure as, second place was a failure. Failure wasn't going to happen for me because it was a bad thing. And my grades, I always had phenomenal grades in school. Like looking back, I was very much a person who never failed because I wouldn't let it happen because that was unacceptable. And so I had this moment where I was like, holy crap, this is totally holding me back in this business. And when I got clear on that, it was so funny. I remember messaging my coach and saying, I'm afraid of failure. And she was like, well, why? Like, failure is good. And I was like, I don't know, but I just uncovered it. And I'm not attracting women to my team, or men. Sorry, I know there are men on here. I don't normally see a lot of men on calls, so it's exciting. I'm not attracting coaches to my team who are successful, because I don't want anyone to be more successful than me, because then that means that I fail. The goal in this business is to bring on coaches who like kill it. That's what we want. Of course, I was attracting coaches who weren't serious. Of course, I was dragging people into this business because I was so concerned about being that top coach on the leaderboard. I was so concerned about being the top coach on my coaches downline, to be honest. I was more concerned about that than I was about finding people who are passionate and who wanted to be successful and who wanted to go after their big dreams and goals and who wanted to develop those clear visions like I had to. And so uncovering that was a huge game changer in my business. That year, that April, I brought on my first real business builder, I like to say. So guys, we're like almost 2 years into this business, or maybe a little bit more. First real business builder. And she's still a coach on my team today. And since then, I found these women. We don't have many men on my team, but women who want to build businesses, who actually are staying around. I don't have a lot of coaches. I mean, I have coaches who join and they quit, because we will have that happen in this business. But I have a lot of coaches who are like here for the long haul. I thought she was going to go say hi. Wave, say hi. Normally she has to come over and peek in. But I'm finding these women that have this passion, that like love Beachbody like I do, that love coaching, that love giving this opportunity to other women. And it's just been such a game changer in my business. And so that year, we hit 2-star. We became a premier team. And then the following year, we just continued on this trajectory upward. And we hit elite for the first time, which was like the goal, right? Like the elite's like this goal that I had on the shelf, and I have my my little our little statues that we have, and it was huge to me, and I was so excited. Like it was like I accomplished the biggest goal in the world when our team hit elite. It was so amazing. And then I fell into this weird place in my business where I could not get clear on a goal to save my life. I didn't know what to do next. It was like I had worked so hard to hit elite as a team, and my team had worked too. Obviously, it's a team thing. It's not a me thing. It's a team thing to hit elite. We had worked so hard. We created this like clear vision. And then all of a sudden I was like, I don't know what I want. I don't know if I want to push for star diamond. I don't know if I should be building for volume versus income, like volume and income and ranks. And like, there's so much that I like could not figure out. Okay. So that was this past year. That was 2020. And I like to point out that year because guys, we know what happened in 2020. 2020 has been like the year of all years, right? And so like what happened in 2020? So 2020 happens, and you're fine. I feel like I could like read your mind and your lips over there. But anyway, so that's Chris I'm talking to, by the way, or I don't know if it's Chris or his wife. But anyway, so 2020 happens. I can't get clear on a goal to save my damn life, guys, to be completely real. I don't know what is wrong with me. Like I had these huge goals. Like my goal the year before was I'm going superstar. We're going to be 15-star diamond team. Like this is what's going to happen. And then I just kept saying like, oh, I want this. So maybe I want to do this. Maybe I should change this. And maybe I should do this. And I could not figure out what to do for the life of me. I kept saying to my corporate mentor, like, I can't figure out my goals. Like I set a goal and then it doesn't feel right. And so last year, we had a great year as a team. We brought on new coaches that were phenomenal. We, my income increased, a lot, which is phenomenal. Like that was a huge goal of mine. I found some more women who are like my life. I call them my lifers. They're here. They see the vision. They are phenomenal. Everything's phenomenal, right? But 2020 was hard, and so 2020 hits. I can't get clear on my goals. Then real 2020 hits, right? Corona hits everywhere. Life goes crazy. I have a daughter at home all day who's in first grade at the time, which is like, that's just a whole nother situation. I don't know how you guys with multiple kids do it. I have one and I was like, my husband's a marketing director now for his real estate team. He's home all day long. I'm very much used to having my own space at home all day and then everyone's in it. I can't get clear on my goals. I keep going back to this. I can't get clear on my goals. I can't find time to build my business. I don't know what's going on. And I literally have a panic attack. So I go from like unclear to like in the hospital in May of last year, having chest pain. I end up in the hospital and I didn't know what the hell. I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I had a panic attack the night before. I knew that's what it was. My husband had them previously. So we both knew. And fortunately, like he knew what was going on and helped me through it. But the next day I ended up in the hospital. No doctor would see me because Corona offices were closed, chest pain, go to the hospital. So everything's fine. They check me out. They're like, you're healthy, go home. So I go home and I spend 2 weeks on my couch. I couldn't get off my couch. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I couldn't see a doctor. I finally get into a doctor. I start to feel better. I finally get into a doctor who runs blood work. I live in Pennsylvania, so Northeast, like we have Lyme disease is really bad. You know, I'm Googling because Googling's the worst thing to do when you have like health symptoms, you know, but I have like figured out what's wrong with me for sure. Like I definitely have Lyme disease. I definitely have arthritis. I definitely have like all this stuff going on. And I go to my doctor and she's like, no, actually, like, I don't think it's any of that, but let's check out your thyroid. And we ran some cholesterol. I will like to say this, my cholesterol is perfect now. Let's go back to that beginning. That's why I started this journey. It's perfect now, but my thyroid was off. And so long story short with that, this whole year, still, you can hear my voice gets raspy now. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis in July, which was and still is a very emotional thing for me, being somebody who has taken such good care of my health for the last 5 years. It's been something I've really had to work through to process and not feel judgment upon people who don't take care of themselves, because guys, that's who I'm talking to every day, somebody who's struggling, and I don't want to be judging those people because of my own stuff. Okay, so that hits. I'm having struggles with the judgment piece in myself and my health and my business. Is we're staying, we're having we're having good things happening, but I'm not seeing the advancements like I was the year before. I'm feeling stuck again. I'm still, this is July, August. I'm still not clear on my goals. August hits, we hit Premiere, which was fantastic. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. Like 2-time elite team, we're going to do this. And we didn't end up the year 2-time elite. And I remember having a mentor call with my corporate mentor, Brandy, and talking to her about it. And just, I wasn't at the point where I felt like I had the strength to really push to do something, emotional strength, to be honest. And she had me do something that was huge. And I encourage every one of you to do this. If you ever feel like you're like stuck, sit and write out everything amazing that has happened in your business in the past year. And even though I didn't even get close to hitting superstar diamond, right? That didn't even happen. I had 2 diamonds quit on me in 2020. We didn't hit elite. Oh my gosh, guys, I made 2 pages worth of things that were amazing and incredible that happened in my business. Like I said previously, income growth, finding these amazing women. Honestly, my health and how I'm looking at it now was something that needed to happen for me to slow down, to set boundaries, to understand what it feels like to, be able to help somebody who actually is struggling in their own health. I think that it surfaced for a reason, and I'm still working through that and understanding that and accepting that. But I do think that this past year was a pivotal year for me in my business and in my life. And I do think how we choose to look at it is also, that's very important. I could have gotten very bitter and nasty and given up, but that's not the person in me. And I think that we have to make that choice, because that person can come out, but we have to make that choice every single day, right? To choose to see things positively. And so, Brandy had me do this exercise in December because I knew myself And I didn't want to start January upset because I didn't hit the goals I wanted to hit in 2020. And so she had me do that exercise, and it was so helpful, and it changed my mindset. And then I joined this free group. So I'm a free group junkie. Like, I'm the person that sees a free group offered in ads on Facebook, and I'm like, me. And then I have like all these freaking free groups that I'm supposed to be part of. Like, I'm really bad about it. So I do that. But I actually joined this free group. It spoke to me on Instagram, and I joined it, and it was phenomenal. And it was all these different business owners came, and they just kind of did like a day of sharing about themselves and their lives and what they focus on, and just pouring into, this group of people. And so this woman spoke, and her name is I Am Taylor Simpson on Instagram. And she is very much a like energy, she's very big into energy and abundance mindset. She's like an abundance coach, but she spoke on fear. Okay. And I was like, oh, cool. I like this topic. I've uncovered fear. I know fear. Fear and me are best friends. Like, I've worked through this. But she spoke of a new fear. And I was like, no, like part of me was like, not again. Here we go. Fear of success. And as soon as she started to speak about fear of success, I was like, okay, now I understand why all those goals I was trying to set in 2020 were so hard. I get it. So fear of success is interesting because it's like the fear of being successful, exactly what it says, right? Fear of success can show up in procrastination, which I was really dealing with. At the time, it just shows up with confusion in your goals and not being able to get clear on what you want to do in your life. And I heard her speak about fear of success, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's where I'm at. Like, you have these really clear vision of what you want. Like, I can see, I love recognition. I can't lie. Some people don't care about that. I love recognition. I'm a recognition junkie. I like to be on stage at Summit, like, hey, it's me. I love that stuff. I'm not even going to try and act like I don't. I could see myself getting my 15-star stuff. I know what dress I'm going to wear. Like, I have it all clear. I know what my life looks like. I know this vacation I want to take my whole family on. I know the accounts and how much money they have in it for my daughter for her college. Like, I'm very clear on those things, but I was stuck spinning my wheels. And that's often what can happen when you're experiencing that fear of success. Like, you have that vision. The vision isn't the problem. It's like something else is there. And so what happened for me, and when I started to explore it, is that I found that even though those big goals of mine and those big visions of mine are there, I was really afraid of a couple of things. Can I handle a 15-star diamond team? That's a lot of freaking work. Let's be real. That's a lot, right? Can I handle that? Do I want to handle that? Do I want to shift my day? My days are so nice now. I have a nice routine in my business where it's at now. I like it. Is it going to change? Is it going to look differently? Do I want that for my life? Is this going to take away from my family? Because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for my family, to give them more time. I don't want a business to take away from my family. All of these things. Okay. And the other big component for me, and something I love to speak about too, was money. Like, can I actually handle money responsibly? Because for a long time in my life, I didn't. And so having a lot of money, am I just going to shop way too much on Amazon like I do anyway? But you know what I mean? Like, is it going to be bad? Am I going to handle it? Am I going to invest it properly? Am I going to, my husband's a realtor, guys, so my money will be invested very well. But for me personally, I grew up with crazy money stories, and that's like a whole nother thing. And I actually have a fun exercise I'll give you for money at the end, just because I like to throw it out there. But this all came up. And it wasn't something that I knew was even there until I started to do the work, until I started to explore, like, why, when she spoke about fear of success, like, why was I going, yeah, like, why was I nodding my head along? Those were the things that I uncovered. And so, I'm so glad it happened. I'm so glad I jumped in that free group. I feel like everything happens for a reason. I'm so glad that happened for me, because uncovering that has helped me to, again, 2021, I came into this year, okay, these are my goals. This is what I'm going for. This is very clear to me how we're going to do it. These are things I know I need to work through, structural changes I need to make in my business, boundaries. that I need to set in my business. I actually started working with a coach, with a life coach, because who also has Hashimoto's, because I needed to have somebody else to be able to process through this with. And I think, as a former counselor, everyone needs their own counselor because we all have our own shit that we have to work through, right? So I've only been working with her briefly, but it's phenomenal. Well, I don't know why my word's phenomenal today. I never say that word, but apparently I'm feeling drawn to it. It's been great. It's been awesome to have somebody to challenge me on some of my thoughts where I thought I was good. She's challenging me. I'm working, again, I keep saying setting boundaries is something I've been struggling in. So I've been working on that. It's just been an amazing opportunity to be able to grow, continue to grow. And I finally am starting to feel like, you know what, those big visions I have, they're coming true. They're going to happen. Like, I know they're going to happen now. I was not confident in that. Like, I saw them, but I wasn't confident in them last year. This year, I'm feeling really charged up. I'm feeling fired. I'm feeling clear. And I really think that just uncovering these things that hold us back is so important. And so fears, I want to stop and just give you guys a couple affirmations, because I'm big on affirmations. I don't know if you are, but she gave, the girl whose training I listened to on fear gave these to them, or gave these to us. And so I want to pass them along. But if you related to fear of judgment, when you go all in on yourself, people will go all in on you. I love that one. I think it's really cool. So when you go all in on yourself, people will go all in on you. So if you struggle with fear of judgment, that's a good affirmation. Let me take a drink real quick. Fear of failure. These are things I feel like we do talk about fear of failure, some in this business, but it's a basic affirmation. Fail fast, fail hard, pick up, and move forward. I love that one. Fail fast, fail hard, pick up, and move forward. And then fear of success. And this is actually how I realized that I was struggling with fear of success, because her affirmation like hit me. I was like, whoa, like, church, like, yeah. Okay, so ready? The vision, or the affirmation for fear of success. If the vision is in you, it's for you. I love that. It makes me go every time I say it. If the vision is in you, it's for you. And so, I'm going to wrap up with this, and I do want to give you a money block, just a little piece here before I stop talking. But, fear, I talked with another team about this a week or two ago. And, one of the coaches was like, but how do I really get to that stuff? My biggest thing is free writing. I love free writing. I think like getting a journal and just writing. If you don't like to write, just speak it out in your phone, in your notes, but just let your thoughts flow. I love Gabrielle Bernstein. I'm very much into all of that. But I think that you have to like bring stuff up, because we have so many subconscious stories and things that have happened in our lives that really truly embed in us, and we have to get them out. And a great way to do that is to just write, is to just chalk. Like, that's why a counselor is a person that's a fantastic person to have, right? But getting that out there's no like trick to doing that. It's just being willing to be vulnerable, which is huge. And especially, I'm going to call it out, like, guys, it's a harder thing sometimes for men to be vulnerable. My husband, his real estate team is a phenomenal team, and he has an amazing leader, and they do a ton of personal development. And he had to read Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. And he was like, I don't get this. I'm not a vulnerable person. And I'm like, that's the point of the book. So if you struggle with vulnerability, Daring Greatly is a fantastic book. A couple other books to, because I know everyone always likes PD recommendations. First of all, free writing, affirmations, counseling, coaching, but Daring Greatly is fantastic. Fear is My Homeboy. I love that book. I don't know if you've listened to that one or read it. I also, again, I'm a huge Gabrielle Bernstein. I love The Universe Has Your Back. I love Super Attractor. I'm actually listening to Judgment Detox right now, because I need that in my current health situation. The Big Leap is another one I really liked. And then there's two that I haven't read yet, but I'm going to recommend them because I know other people have loved them, which is Do It Scared and then Rejection Proof are two that I've had a lot of people spit back to me like, oh, this is a good one on fear or on overcoming fears. So So there. And then, okay, real quickly, and then I will answer any questions that you guys have. Money. This is a whole nother training, but money blocks are the other thing that will hold you back in this business. And man, did I not really, I was like, money blocks, whatever. Like, that's not even a thing. Like, well, of course, there's Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. You have to listen to that book. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Gosh, I can't stop with the phenomenal word. I apologize. I did this the other day. I had another word that was like my word of the day. But I have a fun exercise for you. Blocks, often we have unwritten money stories, and they are things that we heard typically growing up. Okay. And so I grew up in a very lower middle class family. I never remember wanting for anything, but it's really interesting. I was having this conversation with my mom like a couple weeks ago, and she said, I will never forget. And this gets me emotional. I'm an emotional person, by the way. I don't know if I threw that out there. She said, I'll never forget when you were in high school and you wanted to go to the movies and you needed $20 and I didn't have it. I did not have the $20 to give you, and how horrible that felt. That's, and I said to my mom, like, I don't even remember that. Like, I don't remember that. I probably ended up at the movies because she probably went to my grandma and asked for 20, like she made it happen for us because she didn't want us to want. But like when she shared that story, it just became even more clear to me how much money was really a thing in my life, like how the money stories were really there. I know I heard a lot like you work hard for your money, which a lot of us do, right? And I think that we do work hard for money. I think there's truth in that. But the work hard that my parents taught me was like literally manual labor, like hard work, like that is how you make money. I also heard things like, we always hear money doesn't grow on trees. That's a generic one, but I often heard that's too expensive, which is interesting because I pass that down to my daughter. I will say things like that's too expensive. And really it's not. It's just not a priority. It's not something that we need. So I've learned to change that verbiage with her. Like, do we really need that right now? Versus that's too expensive, because too expensive is a limiting, money belief. And I also had this really interesting money story growing up that was like, if you have a lot of money, that means that you're a snotty asshole, is basically how I have to put it. It means like you're snooty, you're too good for people, you're wearing fancy clothes, and like that's just what I grew up in. That's how my parents, they never said that, but that was like the energy, that the slide, like the side remarks, the comments that were made, even about our own family that was better off than us. I heard that a lot. And so I grew up with all, and there's so many more, right? But those were a few. And so when I heard this exercise, I love it. I think it's almost a phenomenal again. It's great. So what you do is you're gonna take a piece of paper and you're gonna fold it hot dog style. So this is the school counselor in me. This is hot dog style. Make a column. One side, your money stories. And then the other side, rewrite your money stories, make them positive, make them your new money story. So me, too much money means that you're a jerk. My new money story is there's no such thing as too much money. And the more money I have, the more people I can help. That's my money story. Okay. And so we hear this is important, but this is the piece that I think is super amazing. So who did you hear that money story from? Me, it was my dad. That was my dad's money story, and my mom too. And so instead of you holding on to that, you say, okay, this is your money story. This negative relationship with money was actually yours, mom and dad. And now I'm going to give this back to you. That's your story. You own that. I don't want that story any longer. The more money, the more people I can help is my story. And that's what I'm going to own. And I literally was like, mom and dad, here, take this money story back. I don't want it anymore. And man, is that powerful. It sounds silly, but once you sit, just do it and own it and actually say the words and give the stories back to people, it is a super powerful way to get rid of those money blocks. So I could go on about that forever, but I just like to throw that out there. I know it's kind of unrelated to what we're talking about, but I think it's such a powerful exercise. And the more that we spend time on our mindsets and growing ourselves, we hear it all the time. Your business only grows as much as you do. The more we're going to see our business grow. And so that's where I'm going to stop talking now. If there's any questions, I'll open up the chat pod. Feel free to ask them even.
Awesome, Natasha. I'm going to ask, if anybody has questions, please type them out or unmute and ask them yourself. But I'm going to say just first off, Natasha, this call was phenomenal.
Thanks.
Phenomenal. I love it. I'm going to ask the first question while we wait to see if anybody else has a question. You said your corporate mentor had you go through an activity. I did something very similar. I won't retell that story. It's on my YouTube channel from a call I did for another team last night. So if anybody wants to see that, I tell it in detail. But my question is, what were some of those things that you wrote down that you were grateful for that this business provided for you?
I wish I had my list with me right here. You know, I focused it mainly on 2020 instead of like the 6 years I've been almost 5.5 years I've been a coach. Um, and so, in the last year, obviously, the basic things like, oh, I had new coaches join my team and I had an income increase, which was way more than I ever would have had as a school counselor, income disclaimer inserted. I have, stuck to my journey for another year, which is I could never stick to my own health and fitness journey before coaching. But, also watching my coaches develop, that was a big growth. My leaders just continually develop and grow their own teams, which was I almost said it again. I'm not going to say phenomenal, which was like, it's the coolest thing. Like, that's what I love. That's what I love more in this business than anything now is watching coaches like find that passion. My team, we have a huge local team and I don't know how it happened. I think, warm market for me has always been my strong point. Like I have a lot of people who I think know, like, and trust you is the big thing with warm, with getting people to join you in my warm market. And so we have a very big local team. We probably have like, I don't know, I don't even know now, like 30 or so active coaches, like business building coaches local in our small, tiny little town and surrounding area, which is pretty cool. And we, even though it was Corona, the cool thing was that we could get together like over the summer outside. I did have a diamond retreat at my house. Like everybody was safe. It was outside, type stuff like that. So our community thrived this past year and grew so much, and not just like numbers wise, but in like deepness in our relationships. And I just think that that's something that you don't find too often outside of in other jobs. Like I never had those relationships in other jobs that I had. Gosh, I don't know. Those are like the things that come off the top of my head, but I had a whole page of them, and just growing and understanding, becoming even more health conscious too, like is something that I didn't want to do by having this, Hashimoto's diagnosis, but it's something I had to understand and work through. And now I'm even more conscious about how I'm fueling my body and what's going on in my own body. And I think, making that a positive is something I work on every day, but that's definitely something I need to highlight too.
I love that. I have another question since does anybody else have a question first? I don't want to take all the questions. Haley, Chris, I see you guys chatting over there.
Oh, can you hear me? I don't have a question as such, but it's my first team call and I've been popping on and off because of the children and things. But now the girls are back in school and I'm just getting my head around learning the business. This was exactly what I needed, just talking about fear, how to overcome fear. That's something I'm actually working on right now, that it is the fear of why should I be afraid of what's going on in somebody else's head? Do you know, that's the thing that I know it because I know myself. That's the first thing I need to overcome is fear. So I'm so glad I caught that 10 minutes, Natasha, when you were talking about overcoming fear and learning about it.
Yeah.
It's not a question, it's a comment.
No.
I loved it.
Yeah, it is a thing. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think and something I think is important to note is that it's cyclical. I say it's just like grief. Like this is again the counselor in me, but grief is a cyclical process. It's always going to be there. Fear is always going to be there, and it's not like, oh, I overcame fear of judgment, I'm good now. it's going to come back around. And I think the most important thing is just recognizing it, recognizing that it's something that you need to work on, because then we know how to do the work, you know what I mean? But if you don't know it's there, if you aren't aware, then that's when you, so.
Yeah. Because you've got to know what's holding you back, haven't you? So that's first thing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, we're almost at the hour, so I'll ask my last question. It's going to sound, Emily just says, I never even thought about the fear of success. I can relate to this. Thank you. So thank you, Emily, for that comment as well. I see that even in my life where I'm out with my business 10 years in, like, so those on my team might know this, but we do vacation rental properties that's what we do with our income. And it's been great. And it's like, I have a huge goal and vision of owning multiple vacation rental properties to help my kids, have a property themselves, be able to earn money from it and go do what they want for work, knowing that they can be provided for by that property and not go choose something they don't love because they think it will make a lot of money. So that's a huge part of my goal and vision of working so hard still today. But I came across like a week ago, this property, and I started looking into it, and like, the whole fear of success, I still have to work through that, because I look at it and I'm like, just so you guys have an idea, it's like a 27 room hotel in like a vacation city. And I'm like, oh, do I want to do, like, will I be able to like manage like a real business outside of Beachbody where like you have employees and this and that. And like, I saw massive amounts of like fear of success, like, because that's a success that I've never even thought about right now. So even I'm working through those things even today outside of Beachbody, and I know that I have to work through those things as well. So I'm going to ask you one last question. It's going to sound like a national wake-up call, but Natasha, in the past 5.5 years, how is your life different now versus before, when you were, your little one was only 3 years old, you were a school counselor going from job to job? How's your life been changed?
It's crazy. I knew you were going to ask that question. So it's just wild to even think about. And it's only been 5 years. Like, in the grand scheme of life, like, it took me longer to get my degree from my school counseling. It was 8 years of schooling to become a school counselor. This is only 5 years, and it's grown, and I've had so much more, I don't know, everything has changed. But so, I mean, the biggest things are, it brought me freedom is my word. Like, freedom's my word that I'm after, and I continue to go after that word. It's brought me so much freedom. Like, I came home from my school counseling job, 2.5 years into coaching. I've been the room mom for kindergarten and first grade, which is fun and crazy all in the same. But I am present. Something that drove me as a coach was I kept a list of things in my phone that was entitled Reasons to Work Harder. And it was things like missing my daughter's first dentist appointment, and missing the kindergarten registration because I wasn't there because I had to do state testing. And so, like, knowing that I'm never going to miss out on a time in her life ever again is a huge driving factor for me. So having the freedom, the time freedom, the financial freedom, the freedom to start to travel, well, hopefully travel again, right? But I never really traveled. I grew up in a small town. It was kind of here. We didn't have the money to travel. So Beachbody has given me this opportunity to travel all over, which has been, life-changing for me. It's something I've always envisioned, but I didn't think it was actually ever going to happen. And, my big thing now is just, it gives me a vision for the future. Scotty, it's so funny that you mentioned your vacation rentals, because I always tell my husband, because he's a realtor, Scotty Hobbs has vacation rentals, and I've heard him talk about that. He's like, who's Scotty Hobbs? Like, but I've heard you talk about that. And that's something that we want to have rentals. We want to have our, vacation homes and rental homes and things like that. Like, those are big things that we have a vision for. That those are not things I ever would have had a vision for as a school counselor, to be completely real. It's just taught me, this business has taught me to, like, dream big and believe big and go after those things, and that they are actually possible. So it's just completely changed my life. And I mean, I didn't even mention like not only that, but like I'm the healthiest. Even, even I would not be handling, I'm not taking medication or anything for my thyroid diagnosis. That's a goal of mine, is to heal my body naturally. And so everyone I see is like, how are you functioning so well? And I really genuinely have to say it's because I coach. It's because I work out every day, and I still work out every day, and I eat healthy, and I drink Shakeology, like without having that, I'd probably be so much worse off than I think I actually probably would have been diagnosed years ago, but I didn't know because I felt really good because I've been taking care of myself. So it's just changed my life completely is the short answer there. But
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Like, it really stood out to me when you said, like, it's only been 5 years. Like, 5 years is going to go by so fast, but it's like incredible to see how much you've grown, how much your life has changed. You went from a job to completely owning your own business in 5 years, and that your school took 6 years. Like, I look at it, I'm like, that's so crazy. Like, to see that happen, and it just makes me so proud, even though I'm not your coach, but I love seeing people succeed in life and going after what they want and dreaming big and believing big. And I took a lot of notes. One of the notes at the end, like, that just really stuck out to me, and this is just a comment, was reasons to work harder. Like, I love that. I think we should all have a list of reasons to work harder. And it just made me think about like the beginning of my journey. I remember I started in April, and then June was Summit. And I had taken off some days, like I was sick one time, and then my third daughter was born. And I asked my boss, like, I work 12-hour days, as you guys know, but I asked my boss if I could go to Summit. And it was literally only like, I could work like 3 hours in the morning on Thursday, and then I needed Friday off, and then I wouldn't work overtime on Saturdays, like one day technically. And I was like, I'd really like to take off Friday, and then I won't be able to work overtime on Saturday. I want to go to this thing. And they told me I couldn't go. And so that's like literally, I didn't write it down, but it was a mental note of like, I'm going to work so hard at this thing that nobody can tell me. Like, if I want to go something, nobody can tell me you can't go.
yeah, I wanted to, like, for real, I'm not a bullshitter. This is my list. Like, it's a long list, like it's still in my phone. One thing says the clicking, like I worked in a cyber school, and all I did was click buttons all day, missing her doctor's appointment, 2 personal days, like you're talking about, having to work when I was sick and not having sick time, not being able to, I didn't mention this, a huge thing was I never got my daughter dressed in the morning. No offense to the dads, but like, I never got her dressed or did her hair, and it like killed my soul that I can braid. I'm a good braid, I love doing that. I missed out on that every single morning, and I hated it. And and then I'd pick my daughter up and be like, what is happening? Like, what is she wearing? Bless my husband's heart. But like that, though, things like that, it was just everyday things. I added to that list. And the more I went along, the closer I got to leaving, the more there was to add too. Because the more I loved coaching, it was like the less I wanted to be a part of, the world that I was in. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Natasha, for sharing a little bit of that list with us. I'm going to physically write that list and teach my coaches to do that as well. I absolutely love that. Once again, I'm going to tell you, this call was absolutely phenomenal. Everybody on here, it was recorded. So if you have a coach that needs to hear some of this stuff on leadership as a mindset and the fear of success, fear of failure, the stories that were told today, just make sure you send them that link so that they can learn from Natasha, learn from her story and experience. And we will see you guys in the team page and on next week's team call. We'll see you guys later.